I've asked a lot of people about my guest today on opening up, and the general consensus seems to be nice guy. And so I'm delighted to present to all of you none other than Shaun Pollock himself. Shaun, thank you very much for coming on this program. Now tell me, cricket world's caught up in all kinds of nonsense on at the moment, and the mind automatically goes back to 10 years ago when you found yourself almost in the middle of it all, becoming captain overnight. So, do you remember what the sensation was like?
Yeah, it did. I mean, we always sort of were under the impression that it might exist and it might be going on, but we never thought it would come and rock us so close to home with Hansie being involved. So, yeah, it did. It really caught us by surprise. And once again, we've been caught a little bit by surprise by what's happened with Pakistan. You thought the ICC had measures in place and a lot of that had been eradicated, but unfortunately it's reared its ugly head again. And from a cricket perspective, you just hope it gets put to bed as soon as possible and that the culprits get dealt with.
I mean, you travelled around the world.
Yeah.
And you saw cricket played in some organised setups and some slightly less organised setups. Do you believe it can never be stopped?
Well, I think it's more got to do with the kind of betting now. I suppose if in the early days we had thoughts about they were trying to fix the result of a game. And obviously they needed to be involved with captains and a lot of the players to do that. But now with the spot betting, it's almost like you can just chat to one guy and get involved and get him to do something which you can make a lot of money off. So I think they call it spread betting here in South Africa, and I think that's been the unfortunate thing. And it really is hard to monitor all of that. But it is sad, particularly for a young player like Mohammad Amir. I mean, I've really been impressed by his steps and leaps he's made in world cricket.
Is there a little sympathy for Mohammad Amir? I mean, you've been a young man yourself, you've travelled around the world and you've faced different kinds of pressures, or do you think a crime is a crime? Doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah, I mean, I must admit, I think we're all human. We make mistakes at different times, and his mistake is obviously a little bit more severe than some of the others might have made, but you do feel sorry for him.
How difficult is it then for a team to sort of come together and play a cricket match? Like it happened with you when all the Hansie thing was happening and you were captain overnight. So is it very difficult for a team to regroup?
Yeah, for us it was really difficult because we didn't really understand what had transpired. For us we felt like Hansie was still innocent. He'd been taken out of the team setup, he had admitted to certain things, but the whole truth of it hadn't come out. We had a series against Australia, it was taking place then and there, and it actually united us as a team. We wanted to get behind each other and make sure that the cricket did the talking. It was just a 3-match series which we managed to win. And then there was like a 3 or 4 month break where they had the King Commission, everything unfolded, and we could regroup and come in. But for the Pakistani team now, I think it's a bit of a disaster over there. To have that going on, to try and practice, to keep your mind off it, it must be a hell of a hard thing to do.
Was there anger at all about what happened with Hansie, and in the years as you look back, was there anger at any time?
Yeah, I don't think anger. I think maybe disappointment that it had transpired and had got on. I know a lot of the other players did have anger because of the faith they'd put in people or the structures. But yeah, as I say, I think you've got to understand that people do make mistakes. I think one thing that you have to look at, Hansie was brave enough to take it on the chin. There's a lot of people who've done the kind of things and haven't admitted to it. He admitted to what he had done wrong, was really willing to take on the consequences of his actions. And it was unfortunate, but I don't think anger, more maybe disappointment and surprise at the fact that it actually happened sort of under your nose.